Hello, everybody. This hangout is on the air. Welcome to the latest Paranormals and Coffee, where we are going to be discussing the life and abilities of a wonderful psychic that I met on Brent's show on Paranormal Portal, Deb Varner. I recently had the honor of being on a panel of 4 psychics with her, and apparently we've had very similar experiences with a lot of things out there, and I am curious to know about her past, and I know you are too. So let's get started. Deb, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, tell me when did your abilities start to manifest themselves? What was it? Well, pick a place to start because I don't even know where where to begin.
Okay. Um, it's been passed down through my family. So, I mean, I noticed things, saw things, but I really didn't know exactly what it was that was happening until I was 17. I took a semester class when I was in Virginia on witchcraft. In there, we had a lady come in to talk to everybody. And she came and talked to me, and when she did, she's like, "Let me see your hand." And she got talking about the different marks on my hand. She says, "You do realize you're a psychic?" And she says, "You do realize you have some abilities of a witch?" And things started clicking. And the more I was in the class listening, the more I understood what I was able to do. I could see them, I could hear them, and that was kind of my big introduction into the spirit world.
So, does it pass through just any family member, or is it mostly women in your family?
Up until my children, I really didn't notice any of the males. And it's kind of made sense because I've noticed that a lot of males are, as they get older, they shut themselves off to it. So I know both of my sons have it. My daughter, she amazes me sometimes. I always knew she would actually be better than me, you know, later on in life. Um, my grandson, Tyler, he helps me now on investigations, and if I need help with anything else, he started showing signs at 18 months. And believe it or not, his younger brother, he's got a younger brother at 17 months, and he's already showing signs. So I know it has had to be in the males in the family, but like I said, after they hit a certain age, they just close themselves off to it.
Yeah, I can
It's
easily
mostly,
imagine.
yeah, it's mostly females in my family. And some females that they don't, my mother, it took her a long time to actually realize, what she had. The reason I knew some about what I was is because I grew up until I was about 11 years old with my grandmother. And she would tell me certain things, and it was like old wives' tales, if the lights flicker, it's going to tell about a death. Um, if a picture fell off the wall, it would be an illness. She taught me different things about um, how to tell what the weather was going to be by the birds and by woolly worms and different things like that. And that was taught to her by her grandmother. And I have a feeling if it hadn't been for my grandmother being there for me, I would have had a harder time than what I did accepting what I do.
So, Aisha, did you have a question? I think your headset's muted. Oh, we'll come back to that later. So, what are some of the signs that your children and grandchildren showed?
Tyler, he would be sitting in his high chair and he'd say somebody's name, and within a couple of minutes, they walk through the front door. And I'm like, wow, okay. Um, I paid attention to him watching things.
So
One
data. Okay, there you go.
one be my cousin who had died, and he died before Tyler was born. Tyler would go in my room and he'd be having a conversation with somebody. He came out and got a ball one day. And I said, "What are you doing, honey?" He said, "I'm going to go play ball with Richard." So Richard stayed with him. He was able to see Richard and talk to him. And it was almost 3 years that Richard was with him. And Tyler came out crying one day. And I said, "Baby, what's wrong?" He said, "Richard had to go away." He said he got hurt. He fell and hit his head. And he had to go away, which he did. That's
Stop.
pretty
Okay,
much
okay.
the reason that he died.
Sorry, go ahead. I had to mute it. Looked like there was a problem with the mic. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, for about 3 years he was with Tyler, and Tyler came to me and explained to me Richard's explanation of why he had to go away, which was he had fallen and hit his head. That's how Richard died. He had a seizure, and because of falling and hitting his head, and he died. Little did we know, it wasn't too very long after that, my youngest son, Joshua, died. And Joshua was with Tyler for a while after Richard left. So I've known since he was little, that he's had the ability. With him, I've made sure he stayed open. We've talked about, what's going on and different things. So he stayed open. He still is very good right now. And I expect him to get a whole lot better as he gets older.
So, Aisha's. You're okay. You're back. Did you have a question for Deb?
I need y'all to be quiet because they can hear y'all in the background. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
No, not really. I'm just paying attention to, what she's saying, because I'm trying to figure out, just like you said, when did she know that she had abilities? And she stated that someone had to tell her. And I'm trying to figure out, how can someone tell you when you're the one able to see these things or whatever? Because I'm trying to figure out what sort of abilities I may or may not have or whatever. How do I figure these things out? How do I manifest them or anything? Did she do anything to enhance it after she found out that she had those abilities?
Well, why don't you ask her? You could just ask her. Did you do anything to grow your abilities?
Actually, yes, I did. Once she told me about certain things and I started finding out about more things in the class, I started going to the library and reading up on different things and finding out, more information on what it was I was able to do and actually how to help enhance what I had. And of course, back then it was, more seeing and speaking with them than anything else. And of course, as many people, as you get older, if you're very lucky, you get different gifts and you can do more and all. As far as doing readings and stuff like that, I was in my late 20s before I actually started doing things like that.
So, what are some of the things that you're able to do?
Well, let me go back a little ways to I had a mentor that Miss Judy, and I went into her group and started talking with her about things. She started explaining a few things to me, and as I was going along and spending more time talking to her and all, it seemed like more things started happening. I kept saying, "Well, I wish I could do what you can do." She said, "Give it time, give it time." I see and hear spirits. I speak with them. I do readings. Like the other night, when I do readings, I use my spirit guides. They help me out immensely. The other night, a lot of people had decided they wanted to know who their spirit guides were. So, I was doing that. I'm also a medium. Um, let's see. Oh, I can sometimes read past lives for people. Right now, that's about all that comes to mind.
So, what were you saying? You did something the other day. Are you able to share that?
Oh, yeah, on Brent's show, I had talked with someone before, and they wanted to know about their spirit guides. Well, the show on Saturday night, where I was doing free readings, I really didn't expect the question to get started, but one of our members, Lady Death, called in, and that was one of her questions. Well, I guess it piqued everyone's interest, so I did a lot of telling people who their spirit guides were and tried to let them know in what capacity that they would help them out through life. Um, our spirit guides sometimes do change, and that depends upon us changing and needing something different in our life. So sometimes you could have the same spirit guides throughout your life. Sometimes they will change, and it's dependent on upon what you need.
I'd never heard of that. My my exposure to guys, because I don't have any myself, were protectors that were set down by my family, but I should say my ancient family, from way back before the Borthwick name. It was attached to a castle, and they just follow. So it's not like they guide me or anything. They're just there to keep me safe, which I wish they'd been there earlier to keep me safe. Uh, until someone introduced me to airmen, I didn't have my own guide of any kind whatsoever, and that was just a few years ago.
That's very unusual because, to my knowledge, and the things that Judy explained to me, most everybody has a spirit guide of some sort, be it
Well, from what I was explained, she was there. She just didn't want to interfere because there was a bit of a toss up over who was going to hold sway in which direction I was going to go, and uh, it was touch and go. She protected me from the thing that was this thing I encountered in Wales. If she hadn't touched my crown chakra and activated me, the thing would have probably killed me.
Oh my.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm very grateful, but it really really hurt. To this day, I can still remember. It was like, if you've ever gotten real like hot water, like all the cold water just turns off on the top of your scalp, and you're under the shower, and but magnify it to the point of beyond scalding. That's what it felt like.
My
It hurt
goodness.
so bad. I was crying already from fear before the thing touched me before, but it was really bad.
Yeah.
I used to be extremely blonde, and so it just staying out in the sun I would get sunburn on the top of my head, and this far eclipsed it. This was just beyond belief, just the worst burn I'd ever experienced. Anything after that was mild compared, and but yeah, she hung around, but just didn't talk to me, and I was told it was unusual because I know everybody said, well, they're there to help you, but I'm not sure why she was so reticent to step forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, we not only have basically what people would consider, I don't want to use human, well, sort of like human form spirit guides. We also have animal spirit guides. They're kind of two different things. They somewhat do the same thing, but usually when I make contact, it's with the ones that are more human form.
Sorry, just letting the cat out. She was gonna start making noise. So, what other things have you done? I thought at one point in time I thought I'd heard that you'd said you went to someone's aid, and I was curious if you could talk about that.
Oh yeah, I do investigations, paranormal investigations at times. I have been called on before to come check out houses when they have sounds or things move around or there's something going on, to see if there's a spirit there or not. I do give advice on how to get rid of the spirits if that's what they choose to do. Um, I will also, if need be, cross the spirits over, because in most cases, it's not that they really want to be here. They're just, some of them are just caught here for one reason or another. And I mean, when I go to different places that are haunted, when I actually do make contact with the spirit, it's really weird, the look on their face, because it's one of those, you can see me, you can hear me. Yes, I can, because they've spent years trying to communicate with the people there that have been lived in the house, that have come and gone, and I guess for one reason or another, they weren't able to connect with them. So when I go there, it's, I guess it's a great feeling to actually have somebody that can communicate with them. Most of the time, it's very easy to cross them over because they're ready to go. I might get a few hard-headed ones here and there that I might have to go back a couple of times with, but I do all those things also.
Unfortunately, I usually encounter the ones that are reticent. That's my that's unfortunately my calling. The ones who the things that don't want to go and that tend to hide in the shadows.
Yeah.
When I've found the ones that are usually shocked that I can see can see them, they respond in so many different ways, because it's usually when I encounter them, it's out in the world, and I have to pretend sometimes like I don't notice them. I had to teach my son the same thing. Like, keep your head down, because you don't want to start making a fuss in the middle of a crowd because you're going to be talking to the people only we can see, and that tends to attract a crowd.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I'd laugh with Brent about, because it is, well, how do you know? It's like, well, sometimes they're just so real that you don't know. That's why the whole going into the house and encountering them there, because nobody else is supposed to be there, means that you're in good shape, because it's like, okay, this one you don't have to poke in the shoulder to see if they fall over, because you're not going to have to.
Well, I mean, you get the feeling of who they are, and it's really weird, because it is, if you see them in a crowd of people, for the most part, it's just like everybody else around you. There's sometimes looking at them, they're a little more opaque. They are I don't know. Like I said, it's the feeling that you get from them, that they're spirits. And I have them that play in my hair. I have them that tap me on the shoulder, and I'm like, just hang on. You've got to wait until I can get to a place where I can get the message.
Right, because suddenly talking to them in public is not ideal.
No, it's not. In fact, my husband and I watch Charmed and Ghost Whisperer, and when they're standing there talking and people are looking at them kind of crazy, I'm like, oh my, I'm glad I don't do that.
Yeah, that I when you see people doing that, usually it's because they're off their meds. That's for those of us who it happens to. We do our best not to let a whole conversation start up. Do you ever find that some of them are hidden, or because it's something that I've discovered, is that sometimes they hide themselves out of fear. At least in a couple of occasions, I can mention just right off the top of my head.
There was one house that my grandson and I went to. My friend's son had showed me the house, and I took Tyler back. I picked up on an older black gentleman. His spirit was there. As best I could tell, he died there on the property. I picked up on a young girl's spirit. My grandson picked up on a little boy's spirit that I hadn't picked up on. So he was hidden to me. I guess Tyler being younger, the boy didn't mind showing himself to Tyler. But with her, I knew which room she was in. So we took some photographs, and I made sure, and we did the photograph session when I was with my friend's son. And I said, make sure you get that one bedroom right there. It was upper corner bedroom. Sure enough, there was a beautiful orb. When we started going around and I couldn't figure it out, I felt like she had gone right after that. And I couldn't figure out where it was exactly she had gone to. And I guess it was because she closed herself off to me. We kept taking pictures, and there was an old well out back of the house, and we pulled a piece of wood off and we did pictures in the well. Lo and behold, there was the two orbs. She was with her little brother. She was trying to hide him. So we went back, I guess, a couple of weeks later, and Tyler and I went ahead and crossed over all three. The older gentleman was ready to go. She was trying to get her brother to go before she did, and he wasn't going to do it. He was afraid. So she went ahead and crossed over, and as soon as we got her across, he went right behind her. So yes, they do hide every now and then.
I just wanted confirmation I wasn't experiencing strange things, because it's one of the, even in hospitals, I've had when I was waiting in the Lancaster hospital here for my wife's hysterectomy to be done because she had endometriosis. It was supposed to be an hour and a half surgery, and it took about 4.5, almost 5 hours. And I don't like going to that hospital because it has a lot of dead people and things walking around, and they try to not be seen, but I can still feel them and see them. And one of them walked up to the waiting room door, and I turned and looked quickly, looked right at her, and she disappeared. And with a little concentration, I was able to pull her back to where I could see her and let her know, it's like, I can't talk to you because this is the waiting room. So if you're waiting for that, I'm not that kind of a medium. I'll try and send someone over here to help you, but hanging around to talk to me isn't going to work. And I couldn't talk out loud in a room with other people while they're watching The Voice, because that would definitely get very, very strange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have gotten so over the years, depending upon the situation, if I'm going to be like in the hospital or somewhere like that, I will go ahead and kind of close myself off so that I'm not in that situation. It helps a whole lot, but not everybody can do it. And then once I leave out, I make sure that I open myself up again just in case. If they saw me and they needed me, then they could hopefully come out where I'm at, and I can find a place to talk to them.
Yeah, Joel is good at being able to hide himself and make himself apparent again. That's a skill I unfortunately didn't learn because it was, as I was losing my sight, I was doing my best to try and keep my abilities as strong as possible to try and get past the cataracts. And so now it's full on, and I'm going to have to figure it out how to walk that back, since I've been doing it for like 30 years to try and keep it going past the cataract formation. Now that the surgery's done and I've got nothing in the way, it's just annoying that I can't shut it down like I should.
Yeah. It takes a little work, but like I said, there are some people that just never figure out exactly how to do it.
Well, then I'm not worried that if I don't figure it out.
There you go. You're not alone.
It sort of reminds me, like when I was in the California Boys Choir, I was good at picking out when they'd play a chord, I could pick the top and the bottom note, but the one in the middle, for some reason, it's like, nope, just not going to be able to get it. After 30 plus years of practice, I'm starting to finally get to the point where I can hear the middle note a little better, but it's been a lot of work. It's at least that I've gotten.
Well, that's good.
Aisha, got any questions?
Yes. Is a spirit guide and what Auntie Jemima is to me, are that those the same thing? Is that something that your ancestors have to make up, or does your spirit guide with you when you are born?
Um, my experience is most of the time, your spirit guides come to you. What you need or how you need is who comes and is there with you to um, tell you, yeah, you can do that, or that you'll be safe doing that, or oh, no, 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 don't do that. We just have to learn to be open to them and, talk to them. You can talk to them the same as you can any spirit. Um, and like I remind everybody, when they do help you with anything, make sure you thank them because they do work hard for us. Um, Different people have different numbers of spirit guides. It just depends upon what they need.
So, how would I know if I have a spirit guide other than the one that was given to me by my ancestors? Do I have more than one, or is it just her?
You have two others.
I have two more.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, can she see them?
Yeah, they communicate.
Okay. So she has someone to talk to. Good. I just want to make sure she's not too lonely, waiting on me to enhance my abilities so I can see her and talk to her. I
Yeah.
know she's there because
Yeah.
I hear her singing every now. I will
Hmm.
give my abilities away. When I was younger, I haven't been able to see or hear anything at all in life. So I'm trying to get myself back together here. Frightened my mother when I was younger, so she told me to pray them away. And when it happened to my daughter, I wanted to make sure the same to her. So I just told her, you know, basically keep your abilities, but if they're scaring you, let me know so I can beat them up. So that's what I did with her.
Yeah.
So then that leads me to a good question. She was made to give up her abilities. Is there something that you can recommend, because this is beyond my scope, to help her get them back the way they used to be?
There are a lot of people that go through that and deal with that, and it's really hard. The best thing I can tell her is try to find a mentor, someone that can speak with her about things and help her along. The more you are around people who have the same abilities that you have, the same gifts, the quicker and easier that yours will come back. And being open about things, because you've been shut off for so long, being open about things really helps too. It starts making things come back in. It's like getting your memory back. As you remember things, it starts slowly, but then it starts rolling like a snowball, and you start remembering more and more and more and more. And our abilities are a lot like that. I have a problem with and I know a lot of people don't believe in what we do or understand what we do. I just have a real problem with people telling you no, don't believe that, don't do this, don't do that. And it's hard, especially on kids. If they're seeing spirits and hearing spirits and they know they're there, to them, they're just like anybody else. And if they don't have somebody to explain things to them, then they do close off and they become frightened. And that's, to me, that is a really bad thing to do to a child. We're having a lot of teenagers now who have the ability, they have the gifts, who their parents take them to psychiatrists, psychologists, and they put them on meds because they're able to do what we're able to do. And I just feel for these children because with the awakening, there are so many more people out there who have the gifts and who are able to use them. And we all need to work together to make sure everybody comes to their highest ability in their gifts. And it's just, It's so hard for me to understand why anybody would do that to anyone else, to stifle them and block them from being who they need to be.
It's a common theme in a lot of the people that come to us, especially on the channel. It's thoroughly not uncommon. In fact, they wanted me to do the same thing, but I don't know if it was sheer orneriness or the fact that I figured if I'm not good enough for, in fact, I remember this when I was about 6 or 7 years old. So if I'm not good enough for God as I was born, then why in the world was I born like this? And nobody could give me an answer. They hemmed and hawed, and it just gave ridiculous answers. Saying, "Oh well, these don't come from him." So, what do you think? I went and signed a pact with the devil for this?
Oh yeah, my mother one day, I was discussing things, and I was like I said, she has the gift. She's finding out later in life, that she calls ESP. She has the gift. We were talking one day, and she's like, "Well, I don't know about you, but I believe in God." And I'm like, "Mama, my gifts were given to me by God." I said, "You just don't understand."
There's some kind of crazy idea out there that you have to go sign your name in a book with the devil or Beelzebub or something that's the only way that these things occur, and that's the fastest way to drive someone with abilities away from the good side of things, because
Yeah, it is.
these things can be used for terrible things. And I know, and I've said this on the show before, but I know I could never, because everybody who kept on beating me down and saying negative things to me, I said, okay, well, if you think I can do these terrible things, I tried really hard, and I'd get to the point where I was about to, and I just deflate because I couldn't imagine actually hurting somebody. It just I just all the air just rushes out of me, and then I'm done. I can't even see the idea of watching them suffer. So you don't want to whip a kid into a point where they go right over to the other side just because they can see things that you don't want to believe are there.
Yeah, exactly. And it can and does happen.
Have you encountered people like that?
Um, a couple of people. I I have a early warning system, shall we say. If I come upon a lot of negative energy or dark energy, if anybody comes around me that has a real dark energy, I start feeling sick in my stomach and burping and not feeling good. And that's telling me that, you know, a dark person is getting close to me. And most of the time, I don't deal with them. I have on occasion dealt with them a few times only because there was no one else around that could help. But most occasions, I prefer not to deal with the darker side. There's a lot of people out there that know how to deal with them and do deal with them, and I am more than happy to hand that over to them and their gifts.
So, what's some of the more exciting things that you've dealt with? I'm trying to see if there's anything been kind of hair raising out there that you've had to face or help sort out.
Oh, I've had a big one. Um, my oldest son's friend. We lived in a trailer park, and well, I won't say boy, he was a young man, lived in a trailer down at the back. And Jeremy had gone down there one day, and he came back in the house and he was absolutely white. I said, "Well, son, what is wrong with you?" And he says, "Mom, I just saw two white people walk across the trailer." He said, "I think they're ghosts." I said, "Well, let's go down there and check and see what's going on." Well, we went down there, and yeah, I got the feeling of a male and a female spirit that was in the trailer. But I mean, at the time, the his friend wasn't home, so we couldn't get in. as time went on, more and more things were happening. And a lot of it was because the young man that lived there was a little bit darker, and the things he was doing, drugs and alcohol and parties with young girls, and he was feeding into the bad energy of this one spirit. So of course things were getting worse and worse. Um, they had to go under the house to repair the floor because something was trying to scratch up through the floor to get in. There was he had fiberglass panels in the living room, I think it was. Those started cracking because it seemed like something was trying to get in, other than the darker spirit that was in there. There was something else trying to get in on top of the one that was there. Um, there, it turned out that something was bending the top corners. Now, not the bottom, the top corners of his shutters. One had been pulled completely off, and they couldn't find it anywhere. We started seeing knuckle marks in the door and the trailer itself. We started seeing what looked like claw marks inside of the trailer. Um, it looked like some kind of words. I couldn't tell you exactly, what language it was or what the words were. Um, I was called down there one night because the young man was very, very sick. He hadn't even been out of bed all day long. And I went down there. We finally had to get him out and take him up to my house where I could actually protect him before he got straightened up and started getting better. I counted 6 graves in the backyard. I saw an old man and a young girl from there. The 2 that were in the trailer was a man and his wife that had been buried basically under the trailer. He had killed her, and from what we understand, they had hung him. Um, Not long after the young man went back to the trailer, he made arrangements to move out. He didn't stay in that trailer any longer. Um, it was a little while after that, someone else moved in, and I talked to some of the neighbors, and they said there was nothing else that had happened. So obviously, this young man was the root cause of everything that was going on down there at the time he lived there.
It was because he was on drugs, or
It was, but he already had a dark spirit to him, and the things that they were doing was feeding into whatever was there. It was almost like what was trying to get in, or honestly, I'm not sure. Now, someone said something about demon, and I use that word lightly because not every dark spirit is a demon, but someone that was in that area that I was talking to said something about a demon trying to get in the house. And it was because not only did the young man have the dark spirit, but he was feeding into the dark energy with the things that he was doing.
Yeah. Let me see if you agree on this one. Coming across demons is fairly rare. I've only encountered 2 in the 30 plus years I've been doing this, and they usually like to stay hid. And yet there are things out there that try to act demonic, that they're so angry, upset, or just disturbed, but they aren't demons.
Well, yeah, that's why I have a problem with the demon word being thrown around too very much.
Right.
And by this young man being dark and the energy growing around him is a possibility between him and because the husband, the one I told you that he killed his wife and they hung him, he was a dark energy.
Yeah.
So I don't know, between the 2 of them, he may have been, and I really didn't look into it that much, he may have been somewhat controlling the young man that lived there. But with everything that was going on, things just were getting out of hand. And it got to the point where, like I said, the young man was getting sick. And I was honestly worried about if I left him there, if he would have been alive the next morning, that's how bad he was.
Wow.
It's all we could do to get him back up to my trailer where I could, use what I had to protect him.
Aisha, were you going to ask something?
Is that the reason why the world is in such chaos nowadays? The fact that a lot of these spirits who died before us, they left with unfinished business. A lot of them are upset they weren't able to do what they wanted to do before they left, so they basically don't want to move on with the world being bombarded with them and us still here at the same time, yet no one here can help them because a lot of our abilities were taken away from us.
They don't help the situation. Let's put it that way. You're going to find out as you get older, excuse me, there are black and white, good and evil. There's in anything that you do in life, you're going to have one or the other to deal with. And why you have to have one with the other is beyond me. I've never really figured that one out. But yeah, the dark energies, the bad energies, they can work on those of us that have a light energy. In fact, they love it. They like aggravating us. They like picking at us if they get the chance to. That's why we try not to give them the chance to. But yeah, there's a lot of dark energy out there as well. And I think with the awakening that we have now, those of us that carry the light and the good energy, I think eventually we may be able to snuff out some of the dark energy, hopefully anyway. But yeah, there's dark energy everywhere, and it grows if people give it the chance to. And it's like I said, if you do bad, if you have a bad attitude, if you there are some of us that just honestly were born with the dark energy, and there's not a whole lot we can do. I mean, we can try to help them as much as we can, but it's the dark energy out there. And it's like I said, it's not so much the devil and demons. There are some demons, but you don't come across them that often. Not every dark energy is a demon. I want everybody to understand that.
I want everybody to hear that because I've been saying this for a long time because people like Zach Bagans make their money on telling everybody that the demons are around every corner. And it's so crazy.
Yeah, and it really bothers me that there's a lot of people out there that are so into those shows that they believe everything that's going on. And I will tell you, I watch those shows, and what's really weird is where a lot of the spirits are at, they're not even there doing anything about it. That's one thing that helps, is to have someone that can see the spirits and know where they're at when you're doing an investigation, because it helps you have a general area to work in. I have seen spirits on those shows, and they're nowhere near those spirits where I see them at. And it's like, really, dude, up that way, move over that way. No, 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 no. I talk to the TV. I will admit it. I talk to the TV. But
In my house, I'm shouting at the TV. I'm sorry. Cuban heritage. I'm shouting at the TV. It's like I that's why my wife keeps telling me we need to be watching more of the good shows. It's like, yes, but that's it's not them that needs the fixing. It's and like the one with Amy Allen. That one doesn't need any correction. She just doesn't tell everything she sees. Yeah. She keeps her cards close to her chest because otherwise most of the people would run out of there screaming. But the bad shows are the ones that really I don't know why it's like bad B pictures. You just can't stop watching them, right?
Yeah.
You just keep getting sucked back in. So how badly are they going to screw up today?
Yeah, my husband's like, you do know they can't hear you? I said, I'm hoping eventually they will. You just, if you see something that's out of place, or, if they're not, you feel like they're not doing things exactly right, it's so hard not to go the other way. But anyway.
Then there's the times when they'll go into the room and there was a hotel that Zach and his gang had gone into. So this is the closed down wing of the thing. Yeah, and they go in there and they go into the office of where this guy who used to own this hotel, and he's like, "Are you in here?" And I'm looking right at the guy who's dressed like right out of the Wild Wild West, and he's sitting in his chair with it kicked backwards, with his feet up on the desk, smoking a cigar and looking at him. And I'm and my wife says, "What do you see?" I said, "Aside from the fact he's really PO'd, he's sitting right there looking at Zach like he wants to tear him apart." And I'm thinking he's wondering if it would be worth it. I don't know for sure, because he's just looking right at him and then looking at Aaron, who's got the camera. And it's one of those preposterous situations where if you could sort of draw that in, it would make the whole situation look so ludicrous, because Zach's just standing there trying to provoke him.
Yeah. Or there's been a couple of occasions that I have actually seen a face in the mirror watching these people. And I'm like, seriously, you do not see this? I don't know. It makes me question things. And I understand that they do the drama thing for the show ratings, but to me, I'm not a person that does the drama for ratings. I would rather be honest and straightforward about things, but that's just me.
Yes, which is probably the reason why you're not on one of the shows already, because you wouldn't tell Zach what he wants to hear.
I would tell Zach off, actually.
It is terrible, the way that he starts crafting this narrative right from and the people get this look on their faces of utter shock. It's like, what? Well, I suppose it could be that. You see, and he just keeps twisting and twisting and twisting. You almost feel bad for him. If it wasn't for the fact that they're getting money to let him be in their house, I guess they just tell the crazy guy to go.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yes, I know I would.
So, Aisha, did you have any more questions?
I'm just sitting to figure out exactly, to world at a place mixed with those people who don't want to move on. And like you said, you were sitting there watching someone who had someone else, like he wanted to hurt them. They actually just up and do anything to hit out in public in front of people, and we can feel it, or anything like that? Or do they need objects to hurt us with?
That was really broken up. I think what she's asking is, could they really hurt him?
There have been cases of bruises and scratches. The things being moved. In most cases, people will hurt themselves being afraid of the spirits, but yeah, on occasion, the spirits actually can do things, and it's the negative ones. They can do things to cause problems. Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Other than the spirits, stuff like that, have you ever heard of, or do any of you have the ability, like some people when they get sick, can you touch them and like see inside of their body to see where the sickness is, to tell them what it is that's wrong with them? Or is it just a spirit thing that you guys could see?
I've been able to tell people, especially the area that they need to concentrate on, is usually when my spirit guides let me know.
Sounds like that was a specific
Be
question.
near them, see them, or touch them.
She asked, or do you have to be see them, be near them, or touch them to do
Um,
that?
I've actually been doing readings online or over the phone and been able to let them know. This is a big question. Once the don't they scare you is over and done with, it's do you have to be face to face with them? No. Um, it helps a little bit if it's one on one with them close to me, but I don't have to be right there with them, seeing them and touching them in order to be able to connect with my spirit guides, and they let me know what's going on so that I can pass on the information. Like I said, on the internet, on the telephone, I can do my readings and stuff that way.
Okay.
So
Um,
I wanted to ask you
yeah,
something because
yeah.
I'm really curious, Deb, because I can't. Jemima tends to be a chatterbox, and when she starts talking at me, I can't really. She's telling me stuff she wants me to know. She wants me to do something about. So I have no skill with talking to them, and I've gotten only some information from her. She wants to help. I know this. She wants to help Aisha get back to the way she was. She's a guardian spirit, like a hearth spirit.
Hmm.
And every time she chatters at me, I want to ask her, like, how was she made? Why? I've only gotten the vaguest information. She was, why, and if she's not alone, then you know, what's she trying to do for Aisha exactly? Because I know she used to be a much more powerful protector of Aisha's family before Hurricane Katrina,
Hmm.
and uh, all I've gotten out of her was just basics. And then when she came back to being her normal self, mostly normal self, and had her normal gifts again, then she spent most of her time singing and cooking and walking around the house and stuff. Is that what she was originally intended for? Once again, I have no skill with this sort of thing. I just
Yeah.
muddle along.
That's kind of her personality. She's there kind of as in a motherly capacity. Um, and she helps you with the things that she's best at. You may not have paid attention to it, but um, she sings, you sing, she sings. It's a connection that you have. It makes both of you happy. She cooks, or she's around you when you cook, and I don't know if you've been able to tell it or not, but she's one of those. She'll stand over your shoulder and she's, girl, you put a little bit more in there. That's not enough. No, just a pinch. She helps you out, um, because that's pretty much what they're here for. Um, let's see. You you really don't let yourself quiet your mind enough. You've got a lot going on around you, and you don't let yourself quiet enough so that you can actually pull in the energies that you need to bring you back to where you're supposed to be able to do the things that you need to. Meditation is a big, 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 big thing. I can't stress that enough. Take some time for yourself. Learn to quiet your mind. Learn to practice your breathing. Um, Actually give yourself the time for everything to calm down enough so that you can start seeing and hearing again. Make sure you stay open to things and allow them to come back in. And I have a feeling before long you'll start noticing things are picking up.
Okay, well, we're at the end of the show. I want to thank you for coming, Deb. It was wonderful. I really wish that we'd had more people here because I know there was quite a few people had more questions for you, and Joel unfortunately couldn't be here. So maybe in the future, if you want to come back, because I know there are more people who'd like to pick your brain on your experiences, because you're one of the people out there who's had a lot of experience like we've had, and it's it's wonderfully corroborating to actually feel like we're not alone. I know Diane felt that way, and I definitely feel that way because it's been a lonely road for many of us. For Joel and myself, we were lucky to have each other, but some people don't even have that.
Yeah, that's why I tell everybody, every chance I get, those of us that have the gifts, talk to the other people that don't know where they're going or what they're doing. Be there for them. Answer the questions. If you're one of the ones that has questions about what's going on, open yourself up and go ahead and ask questions. You're not going to learn if you don't go ahead and ask questions. That's what that's all about. And the older ones here that have been dealing with the gifts for a long time, we're more than welcome to talk to y'all and help you out.
Okay, well, that's it for this show. Thank you very much, everybody, and stay blessed until next we meet.